Hello, welcome to another episode of Unleashing Brilliance. I am Janine Garner, your go-to rebel magician, your straight-talking business bestie, and your reminder that you have one life. So let's make it bold, let's make it brilliant, and let's make it unapologetically you. Now, today we're going to go there. I want to talk about your network, but more importantly, what I want to talk about today is who does not deserve to be in it. Who are the people that we actually need to sack from our network? Now, I once had this boss who, on paper, she ticked all of the boxes. She was a mom, she had 3 kids just like me, she was fierce, she was results driven, and for a while, she was an incredible supporter of me. She backed me, she celebrated my work, she opened doors for me, but then something changed. It was almost like as I grew, as my network of influence expanded and my ideas got bolder, the energy shifted. You know, meetings that were once really collaborative and fun became nitpicky. And ideas that used to be applauded and celebrated and rewarded, they started to get shut down faster than a toddler's bedtime tantrum. And this woman that had once inspired me, she started clipping my wings. Now, I'm all for feedback and accountability, but this wasn't that. This was a classic case of someone who once lifted me was now trying to keep me small. And that, my friends, is not the energy that we need on our road to brilliance. Have you any of you felt like that? This moment where the energy shifted, the conversations changed, and suddenly it felt like people were trying to keep you small or bring you down. So that's what we're talking about today. I want to deep dive into who we need to sack from your network, not out of spite, not out of ego, but actually out of radical self-respect. Because if you want to grow, if you want to shine, if you want to truly unleash everything that you are capable of, you've got to create your network with that same love, attention, and strategy that you give your goals. Here's the truth bomb. Your network isn't just a list of LinkedIn contacts or the people that show up to your launch party or that celebrate with you or that like your content on LinkedIn. Your network is your ecosystem. It should feed your growth, your thinking, and your ambition. But too many of us are holding on to people who actively or passively work against us. And I wonder why that is. Maybe it's because it feels awkward to change. Maybe it's because we've known these people forever, because we're taught to be the good girl. We're taught to be nice. But niceness is not a growth strategy. And being liked isn't the same as being respected. Here's what I want you to know. A strategic network isn't just about having the best, the most awesome people around you. The people, if you read my book, It's Who You Know, that I talk about in there. It's about having the right 12 people. Your network is your fuel. It's your tribe. It's your inner circle of badass humans who will push you to be better, bolder, and braver. I want you to think of this a bit like parenting, right? We wouldn't let our kids hang out with toxic influences. So why do we allow it ourselves? One of the things I do every 12 months as I'm starting to plan my next 12 months of goals and growth strategies, I actually audit my network. Think of it like a spring clean of the soul. You know, I think about who's adding value, who's zapping my energy, who makes me shine, and who dulls my light. It's a time today to do a bit of a network audit yourself. And what I'm going to run through are the people that you should seriously consider sacking from your network, because they are quietly or loudly undermining your journey. And it's time to call them out. So I want to introduce you to the saboteurs, the drainers, and the ditchworthy. Now, I do expand on this in my book, It's Who You Know. But for this podcast, I just wanted to share these few people with you. And as I'm describing them, just have a think about what it is that you're trying to achieve over the next 12 months. Think about what you're trying to achieve professionally and personally, and consider the people that you've got around you. And as I'm describing these, ask yourself whether any of these people exist. So the first one, there's 12 of them, right? So I'm going to go through them one by one. So the first one is the saboteur. Now, this person pretends to support you, but they actually steal ideas and insights for their own gain. They extract your brilliance and they run with it. They usually disguise it under curiosity, asking lots of questions, or I'm just wanting to learn from you for a minute. And the next minute, your idea is out there in the world under your name. Have any of you got that person in your world? Here's the thing. I want you to sack them because they're not collaborating. They're capitalizing. The second person I call the backstabber. These are the person that smiles in the room, but they criticizes you behind your back. Passive-aggressive emails, sly digs, and strategic sabotage. You might even hear that they've been taking credit for your work or feeding false narratives to decision makers. I had one of these people who actually claimed that they had written my book. Can you believe it? They did that. Again, sack them because trust is currency and they're bankrupt. Third person, have a think. Do you have a dream stealer in your world? These people are wrapped in faux concern. Are you sure? Isn't that a little bit risky? I was talking to a person who was a former client of mine who has just left a very senior position in a big organization, and people around her going, "Oh, you're putting your career growth at risk. What are you doing?" You know, they usually mean well, but they just can't see past their own fear. Often they show up as friends or family who just want you to be realistic. And I quote, again, sack them. You don't need protection from your own dreams. You actually need people that are going to fuel those dreams. You need to be given the permission to go, not be held back because someone else is scared for themselves. So I want you to sack them. Fourth person, energy vampires. You know, every catch up is an emotional drain. They leave you feeling drained and heavy and uninspired. They see obstacles, not opportunities. A single conversation with them feels like you've run a marathon in concrete boots. Again, if you've got these energy vampires in your world, sack them. Because you need batteries, not black holes. You need people that are going to fire you up and energize you, not those people that are going to make you feel you can't do it. Fifth person, I call the skeptic. The skeptic pokes holes in everything. Never curious, only critical. They're the ones who are always asking, but have you thought about what could go wrong? But they never offer a solution. Again, these people, I want you to sack them because doubt is contagious and your confidence, my friend, is precious. Sixth person, the narcissist. I had one of these in my world too. I actually had a narcissist employed in my business. They almost actually bankrupted my business. The challenge with the narcissist is it's all about them, always. You become an audience, not a peer. They interrupt, they dominate, they belittle. Suddenly everything has been lost. They'll get round to it. They'll deliver it later. They never follow through on the thing that they've promised because it's all about them. They're under the guise of just being passionate, and yet every conversation somehow ends up being about them. Their latest win, the thing that's wrong with them, whatever it may be. Again, sack them because conversation has to be a two-way street, not a spotlight on one person. Seventh person, liar. The liar. They promise help. They promise the introductions. They promise the support. They promise they're going to do something, but then they ghost or they gaslight. They say, I'll send you that email or I'll back you. But you never hear from them again. If you chase them, there's always an excuse. Sack them because you need reliability, not excuses as you are growing your business. Eighth person, the critic. Their feedback isn't helpful. It's harmful. They chip away at your ideas, your confidence, your courage. You know, it's those sideways glances. It's the in meetings. It's the snide comments. It's the I'm just being honest with you. It's all that type of thing. Again, sack them. Because you deserve brave space, not bruises. Ninth person, the labeler. They box you in. You're not that kind of person. Stay in your lane. What do you mean you want to become a business coach when you've trained as an accountant? What do you mean you want to leave that corporate career that you've just spent 20 years building? What do you mean you want to change careers after all these qualifications? The labeler loves a tidy category, and they get really twitchy when you stretch beyond that, beyond what they believe that you might be capable of. Classic. What do you mean you want to do that? But aren't you a parent? Aren't you a mum? What do you mean you want to go back part-time? What do you mean you want to write another book? What do you mean you want to travel? What do you mean you've got children? And that's some of them that I had early on in my career. Again, sack them, because you're not a product, you're a possibility. Number 10, the bully. We've seen lots of these in organizations, haven't we? We've seen lots of these people around us. We see lots of these in the playground if we've got children, and many of us may have experienced this ourselves when we've been in the playground. The bully, they intimidate, they manipulate, they shame, they dominate rooms, they kill innovation. This one might be a colleague, a competitor. It could even be a boss who uses power to keep you in check. Again, sack them, because safety is a non-negotiable. 11th, we've got 2 more to go. The gossip. They share everything, especially what isn't theirs to share. They're the source of whispers, drama, and division. Being in their circle always feels risky. Sack them, because if they gossip to you, they're going to be the person that's gossiping about you. And the final person is the coaster. They're nice. They're harmless, but they never challenge. They never challenge you anyway, and they certainly never contribute. They just sit there. You leave conversations wondering why you even caught up. Sack them, because you're not here to coast. You're here to climb. Now, as I said, I'm not saying start slashing contacts like you're Marie Kondoing in a fury. But what I am saying is take a moment to reflect on those 12 people and start getting intentional. And how do you sack these people? You know, many people, when I teach this stuff, say to me, but Janine, how do I sack people from my network? I think it's really simple, actually. You simply reduce the contact. You stop taking the calls. You say no to the coffees. You stop doing the catch-ups. You quietly withdraw. And you know what? They'll end up disappearing, because here's the truth. They were never that into you anyway. They were into their access to you. They were into your energy. They were into your ideas, but they were not actually that into you. One client of mine once told me that she used to come into the office buzzing, ready to go, really pumped up. And every single time her equivalent of a Debbie Downer would swing by and go, can we go for coffee? And every single time she'd say yes, until she stopped, until she realized that this particular Debbie Downer was her energy drainer. And so she stopped. She started to say no. And guess what? The coffee invites dried up. The drain disappeared. If one of these saboteurs is someone that you need to distance from, it could be a boss, it could be a client, it could be someone that you just have to deal with. Here's what I recommend. Knowledge is power. Knowing how they make you feel is power. That's what's empowering. That awareness is a gift. So if you know you're going to spend some time with these people, it may be a meeting or you've got to hang out with them for whatever reason, put up your shield. Have zero expectations. Stop going in hoping for gold, for things to change. Go in expecting neutral, and protect your energy like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to audit your circle, because it's about protecting your energy, choosing people who fuel your fire, not put water on it. And remember, success is a team sport, and you get to pick your team. Create a network that stretches you, that champions you, a network that challenges you and reminds you just how damn capable and how friggin' awesome you are. Because you are building something epic. You are playing big, and that demands people who get it, who get you, and who want to see you soar. So here's your mission for this week. I want you to audit your network. Have a think about who drains you, who doubts you, who dismisses your brilliance. And think about who deserves more of your time, more of your energy, more of your proximity, more of you. Get rid of those that are dimming you and put time and give energy and yourself to those that lift you, believe in you, and fuel your energy. If this episode gave you a little nudge, a reminder, or a full-blown fire in your belly, please share it. Please send it to someone who needs it. And again, tag me. Let's keep this conversation going. Because the more we talk about this, the more brilliant women we can empower to take their space, to raise their standards, and to surround themselves with pure rocket fuel. Until next time, stay bold, stay brilliant, and keep unleashing the brilliant individual that you are. See you next week.